So yes, I'm not stressed at all about the oil prices. So I guess it's good. It's a good moment for me to be presenting this topic for you. And I'm not selling anything. I'm not a sponsor. I'm just a person that cares a lot about well-being, not only for myself, but for those that are around me. So I think that this is a good opportunity for us to relax a bit, to have a deep breath, and hear about well-being. So I'm Antinea Reyes. As Carla just mentioned, I'm the LATAM CFO for Marathon Petroleum Corporation. I've been working for many years already, always in the finance side of the business for American companies, General Electric, Estée Lauder companies, and now in oil. And that seems like very weird, moving from industry to industry, but that's something that, in finance is the same thing. You always need to make sure that cash is there, that you're making, having good value for the shareholders. So it's interesting movements that I have had. I'm also a female advocate, so I do everything that I can to make sure that more females are being able to get opportunities in the leadership roles. But also in my country and some other countries in South America or Latin America, we don't have as many opportunities. And I still know that, or recognize that in the US, it's also kind of a similar situation that not so many women are in leadership teams or leadership roles or in boards or anything. So I do really work hard to make sure that more females are having opportunities on their way. I also am the president of CFO Connect Mexico. That is a very large organization for more than 140 CFOs for very large companies, multinational, Johnson & Johnson, SAP, and so many others. I'm a member of Voz Experta, that is expert voice in English, and it's pretty much, women in energy. That is also even harder for us to get roles there and also to be heard in some forums or anything, and we really are experts. We really know about energy. The most important part of me is I'm a proud mom of 2 teenagers. They don't think that I'm as good as what this says. They think that I'm dumb, and I do not know anything about life right now, but anyways, I'm dealing with that. And the thing that makes me the most, the happiest is that I'm an open water swimmer. So this picture is myself 2 years ago that I was able to get the first place. It was my first place in the podium, my first time in the podium, and it was first place. And that was honestly a surprise, so it was super, super good. Thanks. And so why I say that this is my most important part of me is because, yes, I'm all those other things, and that's something that I love. I love my job. I love the things that I'm doing, but also this portion for me is like the one that is me. This is what, I'm not, my company. I'm this portion. This is my happiest side of myself. And so I'm here to talk about burnout, well-being, and we are CFOs, finance executives that are always trying to have more value to our shareholders. So I'll say what worries me today, and I ask you to ask yourself that question. What is it that you're thinking about? I'm pretty sure that it's not going to be only work. It could also be something at home, like my son, my daughter, tuition, mortgage, I don't know, you name it. Many, many options here. And as Carla was mentioning, I'm not worried at all about the oil prices right now. So I'm really relaxed these days. But I think that, those things that you were thinking, so what is expected from the CFO? So we have been hearing about AI, all these sessions. And I know that we need to be really focusing on how we can improve our jobs, how to make more efficient processes and everything. So we just heard about those. And among all those things, we have to do all of this. And again, what we need to make sure is that we focus on how we increase the value for the shareholders. And that's a heavy thing that we have to deal with, right? Like we need to always be looking for new opportunities, ways to innovate, and how we can make our companies more profitable. But who's taking care of us? as leaders, as finance executives. So I think that that's something really important for us to, stop at some point and how we think about this. And so what is mental exhaustion? So it's a clinical syndrome. It hasn't been this way all time. It's so just a few years ago, it was recognized as a clinical syndrome. And according to the WHO, is mental exhaustion that it cannot stop, that is not in peaks, that is something that you can no longer manage or effectively manage, and so it's already creating some stress on you. What are the symptoms? You are always fatigued, you have a headache all the time, you cannot sleep well, you cannot concentrate, your decisions are not coming as proper as they used to be or they should, and you cannot really focus on strategic thinking. You also think that you probably are not doing as well as you should, that you cannot handle more things. On Saturdays, you're feeling great, but Sundays, just thinking that you have to come back on Monday, probably you're not feeling that well. And sleeping well or resting is not necessarily helping you to get better. Also, you tend to be, upset all the time. Everybody annoys you, or you don't like people, everybody has bad intentions with me. You also face some conflict in your relationships. You can no longer be well with other people. You start questioning yourself, like, I'm not as efficient as I should. I'm not adding value to my company or to the people around me. This work is not adding value to me, and I feel like a fraud. Like I'm not really, feeling the shoes of whoever was before me or anything. So I don't know, how do you feel about this? Hopefully you're not feeling that much, but maybe you are. So it's a moment to stop and think, is this my situation? So the difference from stress, because we normally think that, I'm the CFO, so, well, it's normal for me to be stressed. Well, that's not what you should be thinking about. It's like it should not be part of your work. So probably if you're feeling that way, is that you're feeling mental exhaustion. It is also hard to detect until it becomes a clinical syndrome. So you are like thinking that you are handling, you are thinking that you are doing well until you're not. And at that moment, it's already a hard issue. And it's very important for you to know that it doesn't mean that you're not resilient. It doesn't mean that you cannot handle stress. It's just that it's something that it has been excessive, and that the way that you have been approaching this is no longer sustainable, so you need help. So I hope that you don't feel it. If you do, I have some tips here. But are you causing it to your teams? That's also something that is in your responsibility, and you need to make sure that you are also taking care of them. And so in figures, just so you know how important this is, and the reason why I'm here talking to you about that is, so this impacts a lot to managerial levels rather than individual contributors. CXOs, not only CFOs, are most exposed just because they're lonely. And what I mean, CXOs, I also, as CFOs, normally you tend to have confidential information just because, we're gonna be restructuring the company, or we're gonna go with an M&A, or whatever we're gonna do, and that's something that only you can know and the CEO. And so you cannot share those things, right? So who will I share with that I'm dealing with something that is really making me stressful if I can't, right? Because normally you go with your peers and you discuss a few things and that, but it's very difficult for us to be able to share things with some other people. And leaders face 3 to 1 risk of ending up in a divorce. So I'm not saying that, that's statistics. And you can read all this, but it's like 70%, 83%, 87% is like people that is not managing this well, people that is wanting to leave their jobs because they are just too stressed. Also, 41% of our employees are reporting to be in excessive stress, and it's important to mention that it's impacting new generations more than older generations, not me. But. So something also very important is it's impacting employees around the world. The coping mechanisms that we have for this are not really addressing this or are not really working well towards this. And also something that is super important is that the solution is going to be for the individuals. So it doesn't mean that if you have a solution in your company for well-being, is going to be the one that is going to solve the issue for this person and this other person. So it's very difficult to find a way in companies to be able to address this. So that is something that HR is really dealing or struggling with, because it's not that easy to find the solutions. So you need to put solutions in your company, but it doesn't mean that you will be able to solve for everybody. So you really need to pay attention to every individual. And so how we can prevent it? So the first thing is to have a self-assessment. There is this test that exists online that was done by the doctor, it's a female Maslach doctor, and she created this test to find out if you are facing burnout. So go do it if you feel that probably you're in that phase. Also, something important is that they have this analysis done not only for, it's not a general test, it's also, there are certain specific tests depending on the industry that you are, mostly focused on healthcare and some others, because healthcare and marketing, by the way, if you are in those industries, those are the ones that have the highest rates of burnout. Also, you gotta accept it. You have to accept that you have a problem and that you are not being able to handle. Again, as I was mentioning, the most important piece of my role in life is my own activities and that. So it's your values are worth extend far beyond your job title. So it's not you and your company. Your company is not your last name. You have to detach those things. Prioritize self-care. So you have to set boundaries, and you need to make sure that you actively work towards your mental health. Take breaks, breathe deeply, respect your sleep schedule, and make sure that all the environment is helping you to actually get there and sleep well. And I think that we all know this, but you really need to make sure that you are having some physical activity every day, at least 40 minutes for 5 days a week. Just, like endorphins are gonna come, they're gonna make you feel better. So it's really, really good to have that. You also have to have a balanced diet, and something that, I don't think I have it here, but so I didn't put it in my bio, but I did a program with Wharton 2 years ago, a 12-month program, and one of the classes that I had was neuroscience. It's pretty much how you learn about the brain and how you can influence in marketing and some other areas. So one of the things that they were saying for the balanced diet is make sure that if you're going to make decisions, you're not going to make those decisions with carbs in your body, because you have the sugar peak. Therefore, you probably are not going to be able to make those decisions just because you're coming in the face of coming down. So make sure that whenever you're going to make decisions, those are happening most likely in the mornings, but also that you're having protein that morning. It's Wharton saying, and it's not me. So consider that. Surround yourself with vitamin people. Make sure that you have your gatherings with your people, with those that you like, that are gonna make you laugh, not toxic people. Whenever you're coming to a meeting, making eye contact, that's gonna make you have a better meeting. Because you're having, only by touching, it's gonna create a different interaction with the other person. Consult experts. Seek professional guidance when needed. And let me just go back. Oh, no, I guess. Yeah, so this is what I was mentioning about the breakfast from Wharton. So also something important is make sure that you have good teams that are really, helping everybody to do this, because you cannot be like supporting or doing 3 jobs at a time. So everybody needs to be accountable for whatever they are doing. So surround yourself with capable and empowered individuals. Leverage your networks. Make sure you have someone to ask, hey, how you're dealing with this or the other thing, so you can really have ways to decrease the stress on yourself. As I was mentioning, eat protein. And one thing that is gonna make you laugh probably, but it's also coming from Wharton, not from me, but make eye contact with your dog. That's gonna make you feel better. So my dog is always like looking at me, poor dog. But yeah, so it's gonna release oxytocin. So it's a slow and painful process, and it's a different way to do things. You have to learn to do things differently. So that's for you. Hopefully that's going to be helpful, but also how you can deal this with your teams. Just make sure, and I think we all know this, but just to stress it, is make sure that you manage workloads carefully, that you empower people whenever they need to be empowered, and if they do not have the autonomy to make decisions, just don't leave all the all the decisions to them. Avoid bureaucracy, so let's simplify, just so that everybody has only puts the required effort on everything. Ensure work-life balance. Align on expectations, because sometimes it's like, I thought that I was coming to this job for doing whatever or make those decisions, but I'm not doing those. That's frustrating me. Then we need to make sure that we are aligning on the expectations. Practice assertive communication. Fair compensation. I know it's not easy, but that's also important. Promote recognition. Make people feel authentically valued. Like, just to say you did great, that's something that it's not money, it's not like something big, but in their hearts is big, and that makes them feel motivated. Offer true disconnect when they're on vacation. I see so many companies that are reaching out people when they are in vacation. So you really want people to disconnect. You really want people not to think about work. Like, you can fire someone, I would say easily, just because, no one is really, what's the word, like 100% needed in the company. So, I mean, if that's the situation, to be able to fire someone, why would you not let them have a week off, right? And implement wellness tools that I know is not going to be easy. I just mentioned it's not easy to have something in place that will apply to every individual or every generation, but do something. And so pretty much that's what I wanted to share with you, and I think that I'll open for questions, but most of questions I will say, what is it that you are doing in your company that you can share with us so that we can have better ideas of how to address this. So, open for questions, if any. Okay, so there's a question? Oh, two.
Hi, just to clear the idea, how do you manage that someone in your team is having this type of problems, or have you had some examples that you can share with us?
Yeah, so I guess the first thing that you probably see is that they are not performing as they normally used to. So I had this person, for example, that he was always, an extraordinary results person and eventually he stopped being that. And it's normal, right? Like you cannot expect all the time to be an extraordinary results person. Like it's normal, like few years and then you're not. But he was like not really interacting with the others as well, and that it happened that he was having a divorce. But you need to have chats, you need to have those conversations, you need to see what is the change in the way that they were normally and how they are, that something is weird there. And so just approach them, and it's like, in the beginning, it's gonna be yourself that are gonna allow them to give them, more time perhaps, because they need this, they need to focus, and it's fair, right? Like it's win-win in those, so they are giving to you in the company, but also the company needs to give to them. So it's like, how allow you to have the time to at least relax, because I know that you're passing a situation, but once you identify that this is not moving towards a good situation, then you need to act by only telling them, I see something is not going well, probably you need to see someone, but maybe you're not gonna help. So, because you probably are part of the stress, right? Like, so it's like, just go get help. So I guess that it's just changes in the behavior of people. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just wondering, you said it's the younger people are feeling it more. Do you have any theory on why?
Yeah, so those are the statistics. I do not know exactly all the reasons behind, but I also know, and that's my particular point of view, that new generations are probably not as tough, I'll say, as we were. So that's my particular point of view, but it's just that they are not learning how to handle things. Like they want to move very quickly. In 2 years or less than that, I want to move to the next role and that. So they are not as resilient as we were built. So I will say that, but again, I don't know the reasons behind the statistics. I hope that it's different than that, but it's my old me talking here. Any other question? Okay, so I appreciate your time. Thank you for listening me, and yeah.